All right, we're recording.
You know awesome.
I'm gonna make it a different view real quick. I don't know what I just did there, but anyway, I'm somewhere. Okay, that's it. We're here live. We're in a global pandemic, but fortunately, there's some really bright spots in our lives, and one of them is this incredible person, ANDREIA GIBAU, and she is Miss New York, USA 2020. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to switch it back because people really only want to see you. One more time. And there you go. There's the babe, the goddess, or whatever.
Awesome.
Your hair looks amazing. We talked about that.
Thank you.
I put on my blazer and everything, trying to show respect for you. And
oh, you're good. You're good.
You are one of the people who people talk about, like doctors and firemen and all these people that are heroes, and they really are, but you had a very difficult background and you came from a very challenging situation. And tell us about that, because I mean, I have down here, what is it? You didn't speak English. You came here as an immigrant from Cape Verde, very, very poor. And now you're not only trilingual, you're quadrilingual, you speak 4 languages, and you're changing the world. Please tell us how you got here.
Yeah, so I was born in this very small country on the west coast of Africa called Cape Verde. And I mean, now it's like one of the hot destinations to go vacation. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. But when I was born, it wasn't very much like that at all. I mean, I was born into poverty. I remember the house that I grew up in didn't have a roof. And so when it would rain, the very few times that it would rain, the entire living room of the house would be completely flooded. And I mean, to me, I just thought that was the norm. I didn't know that I lived in poverty. And so actually I have fond memories of that, because when it did rain, I would think it was like a pool. And so I would be literally having the time of my life. And my parents and I immigrated to the United States when I was 7, and we immigrated to Massachusetts. And you know, I didn't speak English, and initially the school that I went to, they didn't have any bilingual students. And so that was really difficult for me, because I was the only person in my class that didn't know how to speak English. And to the point that I just became really shy, and I became really, you know, just very much to myself. And so much so that actually the kids thought that I was mute. They thought that I just couldn't speak. And so
you don't speak language. There's no commonality to interact.
Right. And so then I ended up moving to a different city in Massachusetts, and there was more kids that were bilingual, and I was personally in a bilingual class, you know, trying to learn English. But for me, I just wanted to fit in so bad. I just wanted to be like all the other, you know, English speaking students that were at the school. And that's really when it started, you know, me just having a lot of self-hate and trying to conform to be something that I wasn't, and being very shameful of my where I come from and who I am. Kind of everything that makes me unique, I was super ashamed about. And it's been a long journey, but here I am as Miss New York USA, serving as an inspiration to so many people that may have a similar story as I do, or are going through their own struggles, that, you know, life is a journey, but you can 100% make it up on top, and you can have everything that you want in life.
It's amazing that you say that. One quick thing, when you went to the school that had people who spoke other languages, was there a program to teach English to those who didn't speak?
Yes.
That was
Yes,
okay.
there was. And I remember I was working so hard to learn English really quickly and to be able to get out of those classes. So the way that they had to set it up actually was upstairs were the bilingual students, were students that were trying to learn how to speak English. And on the bottom floor were just the regular student English speaking classes. And so my goal was just to start taking classes downstairs. And yeah, and so I would literally stay up until, I kid you not, midnight, practicing how to sound out English words, because I so badly wanted to fit in and feel normal.
And midnight's like an all-nighter in college, considering your age. You're a young child.
Right. I was about 10, 11 years old.
Unbelievable. Now, you did that, and the self-hate you brought up, I didn't have that in any note cards and stuff. When did that start to dissipate? Because I know you're a go-getter. Was it, I'm going to learn more languages, I'm going to become an expert student? What happened that started to, obviously, there's no self-hate now. You should be.
Yeah, right. No.
It's
crazy enough. It was honestly all thanks to pageants. I did my first competition when I was 19, and initially I didn't grow up really watching pageants. And when I did research about pageants, I never saw someone who looked like me being represented. So I never thought that it was anything that I could ever do. But my director at the time, who was super persistent, kudos to him, he was really persistent with trying to get me to compete. Oh, his name is Robert Hogan. He's a drama club
Thank you,
director
Robert.
at Brockton High School. Yeah. And so I remember one of the questions that they had asked on my bio, it said, what makes you unique? And like I said, like everything that ever made me different was what I was ashamed about. And I was trying to figure out, I was having really hard trouble thinking of what made me unique and what's something that I should celebrate. And my mom looked at me and she said, well, you speak 4 languages. Not every 19-year-old can say that. And to be honest, I was still,
spoke 4 languages?
yeah, and yes. And to be honest, I was still super hesitant about it. But then I was like, you know, I can't think of anything else to say, so let me just write it down anyway. And then I ended up winning a title. And for me, that's really when I started to, my self-esteem started to evolve. And so, yeah, I stand before you today as Miss New York USA and thanking pageantry for helping me become the confident and strong woman I am today.
Wow. So just quickly, what languages did you begin speaking or taking in school? Was it in like junior high and high school, and you took French and Italian? What was your?
No, so funny enough, so my first language is Cape Verdean Creole, and then I learned Portuguese, which is an official language in Cape Verde. But for me, when I was younger, I watched a lot of soap operas, Brazilian soap operas with my mom. And that's how I really was able to become really fluent in Portuguese. And then I also watched a lot of Spanish shows on Telemundo with my mom. And that's how I also really became fluent in Spanish. And I did take Spanish in school. So that just, solidified, my fluency in Spanish.
Okay, so you got Portuguese, Spanish, English, and the Cape Verdean
Creole, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. I love that, it's the telenovas and things like that, because all my friends in other places, they're like, MTV. That's how I learned English. And I'm like,
just watching your favorite shows really, really helps for sure.
I've watched a few of those telenovas, and you can tell by the behavior and the context. You can get into it and start.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And without even hearing the words and knowing them, you can see the conflict and the fighting.
Right, you kind of get the gist of what's going on.
It's a perfect thing. Now, another really important thing, I believe your cousin had autism, and you started something, your own initiative for that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was when I initially got started in pageants. I worked a lot with Best Buddies in the Special Olympics. I actually started my own Best Buddies chapter at my alma mater of St. John's because I had a cousin who did have autism, and she was being in school just for simply being different. And for me, I decided to become a voice for people who were being treated unfairly, because having a title, people will listen to what you have to say. But now, as Miss New York USA, of course, social and economic inclusion for people with intellectual for intellectual and social disabilities, that's always going to be something that I champion and I talk about. But right now, as Miss New York USA, I'm actually focusing a lot on underprivileged and inner city youth because it's very much a reflection of my life. I grew up in an inner city, and so I know firsthand that inner city and underprivileged kids don't always have these same opportunities and resources to thrive in society. And so, with my More Than Enough tour that I've actually now had to make a virtual tour because of COVID-19, unfortunately. It's just, I talk about my own experiences, but then I'm also giving them tips and real life experiences lessons that I've learned of how, they can succeed in life despite their circumstances.
Right. And the tour is called, what is the tour?
It's called it's called More Than Enough.
More Than
Yeah, and how that name came about was simply, I think we kind of all grow up with the notion that you either are enough or you're not enough. And my whole thing is you are more than enough, point blank, period.
You're giving hope, and that's the whole thing, because you talked about opportunities and everything. I believe it was Warren Buffett, the man worth like $70 billion, and he said, I was born in a rich country to a rich family. I am white, so I never had racism or any of those problems. And I'm a man, so I never had gender inequality. I am born in a position that everyone in the world wishes they had. And because of that, we have to make it so that people who are not born in that situation at least get an opportunity to show that, hey, I want to achieve and be more than enough. And it takes someone like you to really prove that, because one, to say, I never had a roof. Yeah, that's street cred. You never had a roof. So no deal. But it's unfortunate, but I'm glad it does exist, that it takes a celebrity, someone like you, to champion a cause, and then everybody, given the nature of, follow the leader, they go, oh, well, Andrea's involved, let's pay attention, versus, hey, we all should, it's the right thing to do.
Right. I mean, and I mean, the thing with that is I don't necessarily think that you have to be, a celebrity or have a huge platform to make a difference. But I think being a public figure and having the platform that we have, we need to be using it for a greater good.
Right. I've interviewed some pageant winners in the past, and you could see that they had been told, hey, philanthropy and helping out and whatever, but they are only concerned about getting free clothes and a makeup contract and whatever. And I've been doing this about 9 years. Those people disappear because they think, oh, I've got a title, I'm set. If you don't use it correctly and you're not like what you're doing, somebody next year is getting that crown, and that's it. So you have to use it the way you're using it right now, and it's so important. I mean, what you have, 30 under 30 for Phoenix?
Yeah, it was Phoenix Magazine's 30 under 30 for philanthropy.
That's pretty impressive. So your thing is philanthropy, all these causes, helping out with Best Buddies, but I also saw somewhere that TV personality was on the horizon, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give something to yourself, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, theater has always been a big part of my life. It's kind of where, besides pageants, I also had the opportunity to grow my confidence and feel comfortable with being in front of a crowd. And I love being in front of the camera. And so, yeah, I would love to have my own TV show one day. But for me, it also kind of ties in with philanthropy being the core of who I am. And when I say that, I really do mean it. And, I look at my life and the things that I want to do. I always make sure that something about it has to be philanthropic. It has to have a bigger purpose, you know? And so with this TV show that I hope to have in the future, it would be, you know, just sharing, it'd be just sharing, you know, some of the untold stories of some inspirational people that I think deserve a platform to talk about, you know, to talk about their life, to talk about the things that they're going through, and hoping and inspiring even more people.
Well, you've got my gears rolling. Maybe we could do something. We can talk about it off camera later more, but something you and I do something together. We use the platform combined and bring in people that either you find or I'll find or we'll have someone find.
Yeah, for sure.
Stories, because the reason I left LA is because there was no substance. Meaning in New York, you talk to a taxi driver for 3 hours, he'll blow your mind about what he's been through.
Yeah.
A hot dog vendor, with a lady, you know, just standing there with a handbag, you know, Dwayne Reed bag. They have so much. LA, nothing.
Exactly.
So I love hearing about that stuff. Just like with now, hearing about you and your rise and success and whatever. You're definitely going to have a TV show. There's no doubt.
Thank you.
But I love the part about how all the things that you wanted to hide and keep inward and you felt were things that, you know, weren't making you who you should be are now all the things that are celebrated. So whatever. One of the things I interviewed, I can't even say her name, Zuzi,
Miss Universe. Yes.
Miss Universe. And one of the things we got into talking about off camera a lot was that they made such a big deal that 5 women of color, and it's 5 black women, and 5 this and that. And I just, being me, I said, I don't like that at all. I want it to be 5 amazing women who got it because they're all amazing. I don't like trying to spread into something that makes it that, oh, look at this celebration. It's like, oh, America, you finally did it right. That's an embarrassment. It should just be unique and amazing. She won, whatever. I understand the press has to turn it into this big thing, whatever. You know, and Obama, the first black president, also in my opinion, best president that ever existed. To anyone who doesn't like that, because that's just the way it is. But the celebration of the ethnicities of different people in this type of stuff, it's like, you know what? I don't know.
But let me explain that a little bit to you, because the history, the reason why we've been celebrating Zosie and Chesley and Kaylee and Nia, who really just made history, it's because the history of pageants have always suppressed women of color. There was a time when women of color couldn't even compete in a pageant. And when you could actually compete, we were never sought out to be beautiful, you know? And I mean, even for me in my own personal experiences, when I first started doing pageants, it was hard because for me, what I saw being celebrated and when winning, and what people, not just in pageants, but society as a whole thought was beautiful, were white women with blonde hair or blue eyes, or very much the standard European beauty. And so now that society, right, and now the society is changing and we're celebrating beauty in all different kinds and shapes and forms, because that's what makes people beautiful. It's kind of gone into the pageant community too, which I'm so happy about. And Zosie and any of those women winning, they didn't win because they were black. They won because they were the best women that competed during their competition. But the thing is, the fact that people didn't necessarily look at them and say, oh, well, you know, she did great, but she's black, like, let's not crown her. We've gotten away with that. And I mean, even for me, I'm about to go compete at Miss USA. And one of the and one of the things that and one of the things that sadly, you know, I'm asked in my DMs is, do you think that they'll crown another black girl? Because they just crowned our current Miss USA is a black woman. And so for me, that's heartbreaking, because the whole point is to get to a place that we don't worry about, oh, they just crowned a black Miss USA, they're not going to crown another one, right? It shouldn't have anything to do with that. It's, did I show up? Did I present myself in the best version of me that I can? Did I, communicate my purpose and my reason for being there with the judges? You know, that's the reason why I should win, not because, you know, or not because that they shouldn't crown me because I'm another Black woman.
Absolutely. It should be, are they going to crown the next most deserving, most talented, most unique person?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if it's 10 people in a row who are Black or Chinese or Haitian or something, then that's what it is.
Right.
So
let it be it, as long as they do the job.
Right. Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, there is progress, thank God. I just what ran through my head is women's inequality with pay. That's a whole nother thing. It's ridiculous. I think America, well, it's just a fact.
We've come a long way. We've come a long way, but we still have ways to go.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just talking with someone yesterday. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the model Carrie Otis, supermodel?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
One of the 5 biggest, like right up there, Naomi Campbell, all them. She was married to Mickey Rourke. Crazy, crazy stuff. Her story, openly raped at 11, raped at 15.
Oh, wow.
Up in the modeling industry, put on drugs and stuff like that. The crazy part about it is we were talking about women unifying, that there are more of you than there are of us. So you guys coming together finally, it can change, and it will change if you can just get those few that like still vote, you know, against their own interests. You know, just what you're doing is great, and thank you for doing it because it's about time.
Thank you.
I don't want anything to happen. Are there any things that people can do to help with your cause? Any sites they can go to, or you know, like Best Buddies or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, they're always looking for volunteers. So, you know, whether it's with Best Buddies or the Special Olympics, or there's this organization called Girls Inc. There's another organization called Princess Chambers that I work with a lot, and they all cater to empowering inner city and underprivileged youth. So I would definitely, you know, encourage everyone to look into those organizations and see how they can help. There's
one for you. I think you should definitely be involved with. That the girl I was talking to yesterday, Model Alliance. Have you heard of that?
It rings a bell, but I'm not too familiar with what they actually do.
Sure that's the exact one, because sometimes in my mind, I think I know what I'm talking about. Model Alliance, yes, that's absolutely it. I don't want to reckon. It's really good. The first girl to ever accuse Harvey Weinstein is part of it. And
oh, wow, okay.
All these other like major supermodels who've had problems, and they're trying to redo and like fix Victoria's Secret and change the thing for women in casting and modeling and acting and stuff. So you should definitely use your strength and platform.
I'll check it out. Absolutely. I'll look into it. Thank you.
I'll throw you on the council in a second. Now, we've covered some heavy stuff. Let's just do some fast, quick answers for fun stuff.
Awesome.
How is dating being this way? Are there guys who are like, oh, I want to date Miss USA, USA, or what's happening?
Well, I have a boyfriend, and I'm very much in a really happy and healthy relationship. So of course, when I go out, there's guys that always like make jokes about, you know, wanting to date me and stuff, but it doesn't affect me at all. I usually just like laugh it off, but I haven't had any crazy stories or anything. So.
No. Because I've seen you out, and I'll look at you and watch you because obviously you're beautiful, but you're also someone who's fun to watch given the nature of who you are. And I see everyone is overly receptive, but I see the guys, you know, holding like 2 drinks behind you and kind of waiting to come up and talk to you. And I just think, oh, I would love to hear what this guy is saying. Because you're so polite, so receptive, and very, very nice to the person, even though you're taken. But I see their mind like, how can I do this? Should I tell her I have a helicopter and a jet? Or do you ever get told crazy stories? Like
no, not at all. Not crazy enough, not at all.
Really?
I think usually when someone just comes up to me, it's and I feel that they're, you know, trying to ask me for my number or anything like that, I just kind of kindly tell them right away, like, I have a boyfriend, and usually they just back off. They're very respectful of that. So okay. No, I don't have any crazy stories.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Well, it must be so great now being you. When growing up, things were so challenging, and I'm sure, like you said, not being received as for your beauty, more of, hey, this world is not ready for me. And now everywhere you go, I see people go crazy. How's your boyfriend handling it?
He's fine. He's honestly one of my biggest supporters. He actually helps a lot with my behind the scenes, like content videos that I make. So he's been such a huge help. And I mean, yes, I miss New York, USA, but I'm also Andrea Gibau. And He kind of gives me comfort when I just need to vent about something, or I bounce a lot of ideas off of him when it comes to my Miss USA prep, especially preparing for Q&A for Miss
Oh,
USA.
that's
He
invaluable.
helps me a lot with that. Yeah, so I'm very lucky for sure.
Did you ever have a wild night? Forgetting boyfriend, other thing like that. It doesn't even have to involve, other guys. Was there ever a night you were in Ibiza or somewhere in a bubble pit, like something that pops in your mind, or were you always very, very like royalty, always being proper?
I wouldn't use the word royalty. I just, growing up, my parents, they always instilled in me making sure that I'm, focusing on my school. And I've never really been like a partier person. It just hasn't been. I mean, I'd much rather just sit on my couch, watch Netflix, or FaceTime my friends, or go out to dinner. That's what really I'm all about.
Yeah, I don't see you kicking off your high heels and dancing on a table and going, we're popping bottles, we're popping bottles.
No, no.
That's great. What are your websites and places people can check you out?
Yeah, so you can go on to MissNewYorkUSA.com, or follow my Instagram, which is at MissNYUSA, or even my personal Instagram, which is at Andrea Gibau.
Perfect. After this, I'm going to give you a quick call because I want to talk about maybe doing that thing with people.
Yeah, for sure.
Going now, everything's indoors. All my interviews lined up for the next weeks are all
Yes,
indoors.
it's, I want to say we're in a tough position, but we just have to keep hope and try to stick with as much of our daily schedule that we had outside of our apartments. We need to try to recreate that inside, and poke your head out the window, get some fresh air, and try to keep the news to a minimum. I know it's important that we all stay informed, but I think that we need to disconnect from that a little bit.
You're absolutely right. And on a quick side note, I had finally, right before Christmas, gone to the gym downstairs and started to get in shape. And it hadn't happened in many years. It's been like 5 years since I really, and I'm not ripped, but I started to put on muscles in good places there. And then all of a sudden they like, oh, we're closing the gym. So yesterday on the TV, I had YouTube yoga. I was doing yoga. So
I love that.
That people have to realize there are tremendous options.
Oh, seriously, yeah. I mean, we have the whole social media and Google and YouTube, everything at our hands, and yeah, like home workouts are a thing. You can 100% get results from doing at-home workouts.
One person I'm just going to mention because she's so nice. There's a girl called Shaping Up with Santana, and she launches everywhere, I believe, very soon. I interviewed her recently. She's from LA. She's one of those big TV hosts, fitness experts, and she can have a thing online just perfect.
Oh, cool.
Time. So like on Netflix and Hulu and Roku and all that stuff.
Right.
So I told her I was going to do the workout, and she knows me. She said, "You're never going to do the workout." I'm trapped in my apartment for like 25 hours.
You're going to do the workout. You're going to do the workout.
And one funny thing, when I told you I was one of the officiators of with this girl Cammie Crawford for Miss USA DC. Wildest experience of my life. We did a big group thing of all holding hands before the contest, and they said, "We hope our butt glue works." And I said, I interrupted you, a little seance thing in prayer. I said, "Hold everything. What butt glue are you talking about?" And Chance, we'll show you afterwards. Tell us about butt glue.
So butt glue is just simply, it's an adhesive that, dancers do it too, but pageant girls have been known, I guess, to just put it on the back of their swimsuits. So their swimsuits stay in place so it doesn't move, so you don't get a wedgie or you don't show too much butt cheek. So yeah, butt glue is everything. And even for me, I use butt glue outside of, competing. I sometimes want a top when I want it to stay, especially if it's off the shoulder and I want it to stay. I'll just add a little of the butt glue adhesive on there and it stays. It's great.
That's perfect. It just comes off with like soap and water. It's no problem, but it's
still Or I usually, if I have wipes, I usually just wipe it down with like baby wipes or anything like that, or makeup remover. But it comes off really easily.
But yet it's still very strong for like a night of dancing with the shoulders and stuff.
Yes. Oh, it is some strong stuff.
But I'll tell you, that was actually one of the best nights of my life because they had me helping put butt glue on because they didn't have a lot of people. And I,
Uh-huh.
you want me to what? Put butt glue on these contestants? And they're like, be professional. And I was like, I was so professional, but in my mind, I'm thinking, I never thought this would happen in my whole life. This is
You didn't,
ever.
right.
I'm like, I'm gonna live through this in my head over and over, and I still, but I will
It's
be in touch.
very important though.
Yes, butt glue is very important, and best buddies is more important. And the most important thing is that you showed what can come from a very challenging situation, from no roof to now you're sitting here in New York City. Uh, People, wherever you go, want to talk to you, want to learn from you, and you can actually help them and change whatever part that you interact with. And you're going to do it. And I'm going to see you on TV. There's no doubt. You're made,
Thank you.
but like a high level one, not the goofy stuff. You're made to have like a,
Never that.
yeah, no, that's not you. Who is Gail, Oprah's friend, Gail. She
Oh, Gail King.
that I could see you doing stuff like she does.
Thank
That's
you.
powerful
Thank
stuff.
you.
So let's end on that. Chance TV wants to thank you so much for being on. And if you could just say your name, who you are, and you're watching Chance TV, that would make me feel good.
Yeah, of course. My name is Andrea Gibau, and I'm Miss New York USA 2020, and you're watching Chance TV.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Awesome.
you. So happy for you.
Thank you.
All right.